day 2 of Vlogmas. I have my cozy clothes on today. I'm just wearing a sweatshirt and my hat because I have a lot of work to do, so don't really have time to mess up any knits today. I'm gonna be dyeing a couple of things today, and I figured that could be fun to do together. So let's see what today brings us. I have a couple of things on the list. I think it's pretty funny that my mom's on her second cup of coffee, and she was not even a coffee drinker until last year, I think. And now she drinks like 4 cups a day, and I'm like, woman, calm it down. Hi there. Happy Vlogmas day 2. Just doing the obligatory influencer sip. Just joking. I think we're a little bit crooked. I'm trying to be super candid with y'all, so I'm trying not to do too much editing besides like fun stuff. So anyway, just to knock it out, here are the verses that were assigned for today. I'll put them on the screen. Okay. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it just a little bit briefly. Don't forget that if you're interested in doing the Advent plan, as far as like reading passages from the Bible and all that good stuff, I just like included it, but it's not all we're going to talk about. It's just something I'm doing. So I actually listened to this podcast called Bible in a Year, and it's kind of like, I guess, a companion to reading the Bible because it's a different version. I used to be Catholic, and so I don't consider myself Catholic anymore. But I was listening to the first Sunday Mass of Advent, and there was a really cool story that he was talking about, Father Mike Schmitz. And I just wanted to kind of like give my reflections on it really quickly before we move on to yarny stuff. So he was talking about, let me give you some context. Before, because I feel like it kind of all groups together. So I have my best friend, someone in her family who she was very close to, passed away recently, and she took it kind of hard. And I know that heartache of like not really understanding, or your heart not really being able to understand that someone's not coming back. And so we were kind of talking, and she got like really deep. She was like in a low place, and she was like, just like, what's the point of life, man? Like, what's the point? And she's like, I don't get it. And like, we're on the phone crying together. And she's like, we're born, we have kids of our own one day, we buy houses and cars, and we give them things just to eventually leave them with only the memories of ourselves. And I was like, whoa, that's really deep. So, I was like, dang, that's making me more sad. So I was just like, what is the point? I was like, you're right. What is the point? So then I'm just like agreeing with her. I'm like, there's no point. We're just born and then we die. And then so I was listening to the first Advent Sunday, and he talks about, Advent is another word for the arrival or coming, the coming of. And so we're like celebrating the coming of Christ, and then he started talking about how this is the first Advent, though, that we're celebrating as we prepare our hearts to be able to be ready for the final Advent, which is supposed to be the return of Christ, right? If you, like, I'm only going to talk about it for like 30 more seconds if you want to like skip, maybe a minute. Anyway, and so he's talking about like preparing for Judgment Day ultimately. And I was just like, okay. Interesting. So he's talking about it, and then he starts saying how God's going to come according to the Bible, according to the word, according to, other sermons and things, that God's going to come and he's eventually going to separate the good from the evil. And it just kind of like left me with a bunch of answers from that. It was just really weird how I had just talked to my friend and we were both like, what's the point? And then he, like, in this sermon started talking about the point is for us to be able to save our souls. Even if we pass today, if I die today, you know, I want to know that I did what I could to be a good person, even if it's correcting my wrongs or, you know, correcting my mistakes, because we're human. That way, when it's judgment day, the bad souls and the good souls can be separated, and, you know, good souls can go to heaven or whatever, or be, you know, there with Jesus. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting. And so it really just kind of choked me up, because the point was like to love everybody, to really just show love no matter what. So sometimes, you know, you see people and we're so quick to judge them, like, oh, they're so fake. Or sometimes we'll, you know, see someone and say, oh, that's horrible, that design's ugly, you know what I mean? And just like little things like that add up. And even though we're thinking them, we don't always go back to think about how could I have thought about that differently? Or, okay, for example, sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, I see designs on Instagram or Facebook and I'm like, ew, that's so ugly, you know? But then I'm like, wait, it's not my style though, you know? It's not my aesthetic. I wouldn't wear it, but this person's probably really proud of that. So that's good for them, you know? And I just kind of have to check myself sometimes, because I can get mean. I can get mean, especially with like people I'm close to. Like I get, not mean, like snappy, you know? Like if someone says something to me, I could snap back and be like, oh. And so sometimes I try to just like check myself in that way and say like, let's look at it from a different perspective. And so it was just kind of like really interesting that he starts talking about Judgment Day, but also just, I promise, almost done. Just when I was younger, I used to have a lot of nightmares about the end of the world, and I never knew why. I couldn't figure out why. I'd call my now husband when we were in high school. I would call him and I'd be like, oh my God, I just woke up from this dream, and I'd tell him all about it. But it would just happen so often, I swear, for maybe a year or two of my life. And it was like just horrible dreams, my family dying and everything. So I was just like, why do I keep having these dreams? And I never really had an answer. I just kind of moved on. Like I stopped having them and I was like, thank God. And then so like all of this kind of just like came together in my mind, and I'm like, interesting, you know, and I just started putting pieces together for myself. So that's my little tidbit about the Advent, you know, I don't know about Advent this year. That's my takeaway so far. And just like the acceptance of like taking God into my life, and which is where I've wanted to be. I've always been very close to God myself, but I kind of have wanted to be more true to myself and true to people, even my friends, even just y'all here on, you know, my Instagram. I really like to share who I am and hope that it inspires someone else to be better, because like I've done things that I'm not very happy about, but that doesn't mean that I can't come back from it. That doesn't mean that I can't ask God for forgiveness, or at least be nice to people to make up for it, you know, say I'm sorry and do better, you know, kind of like that, you know, that situation that's kind of happening right now in the community. It's just like, come back, do better, be stronger, and truly show that like you're trying, you know, that you're doing the work in whatever way that is to right your wrongs, or just live, you know, be a better person. So anyway, I won't talk about that other situation too much, just because I've been kind of like laying low, and so I wasn't really familiar with what happened until it already all like happened. And I don't think it's my place to really say anything, because I you know, I think y'all probably already know my opinion about it. Okay, I'm really sorry if you didn't enjoy all of that. I just somehow apparently feel very comfortable talking to y'all today. Okay, so that's the end of Advent. Next, I'm going to show y'all one of my
300 whips I have going on.
So this is, if you're wondering about this bag, it's from my collaboration I did with Morgan from Knitting Nelly. She's honestly a really cool person. She's really great. And I think that I didn't really appreciate her until I worked with her. And then we had conversations during the collab, after the collab, and I was like, she's really one of those people that like you can have a conversation and you feel comfortable, you know, like you don't have to get to know them so well for you to like finally let loose. Like I just like immediately feel comfortable. So she's a really cool maker. If you haven't checked her out, check her out. I'll link her in the description. But this is what I have in my bag. I have my, I think I showed this. I showed this on the podcast with Michael and Yesenia and Elizabeth recently, but I'm a little bit further. It's not that big, but I'm so happy about it. Okay. I'll show you a little bit of a close-up. Let's see. Is that good? If you can't really see it, I'll include a video. If it already like shows up well after I start editing, then this is what you're gonna see. So it's basically an asymmetrical shawl. I know I said I'm not designing anymore, but it's all that's making me happy. Let me have it. Okay, so this is like the shawl. I can really see how small it is when I hold it up. I'm still very proud of it, okay? I'm very proud because with all my whips I have going on, I'm making progress on them at least, okay? I'm coming back and I'm rotating through, and that's what we're gonna do during Vlogmas is talk about how many whips I have. Ooh. Okay, I have to cast on one more thing for a Christmas gift, but I'm thinking maybe that could be my goal, is to not cast on anything during, you know, during Vlogmas. That way I can just talk about what I have and the progress that I'm making. I don't know, I make goals for myself all the time. Anyway, okay, so it's an asymmetrical shawl, and this is gonna be part of my little cottage collection. It's gonna be a collection of a few different patterns. I won't say too much right now, but it's gonna have kind of like the Nina collection, except not the same items. They're gonna be different than what I had in the Nina collection. And I just really like the texture of this. It's so soft. It's so soft. That's my little face that Michael hates, and I love to do it. Okay, so anyway, this is my shawl, and the density is amazing. It's like so squishy. Like, I say like a lot. I'm gonna try not to. So I'm using my KA needles that I kind of talked about yesterday. KA Seeknit needles. See those? These are my absolute favorite. Let me tell you why. I feel like so many people sleep on these needles. They don't really appreciate them. They are a little bit more pricey, I believe. I think I paid about $130, maybe $140 for them. But it's a set from size 2 to size, oh no, 13. Yeah, to size 13. But they're swivel cords. You see that? Swivel cords. That means that I can just turn my needle and I don't have to like fix my cord every time I'm like turning it around. You know, when I'm going like this, I don't have to fix my cord and stuff. It just automatically untwists, and it's amazing. It's so good. And I also really love the slow fashion, the way that bamboo needles slow you down. Just wooden needles in general. So bamboo, my driftwood needles, I like that they don't allow my stitches to slip off. I recently invested in a set of needles that I really do love. They're kind of like cheapies, I guess, but very good quality. And I'll show those probably tomorrow in my video, so we won't talk about them too much. I'll just say that they are nickel plated. And I find that my stitches fall off all the time. Like I like to just sit there and look at my stitches as I'm knitting. And I'm not a person who really likes to look away. I mean, I can look away when I'm knitting, but I really like the process of watching myself make those stitches. Sometimes it gets discouraging and I cast on new things. But most of the time, like, that's what I love about knitting. And that's why I'm so big into aesthetic, because it puts you in a mind space. You know what I mean? It puts you in a headspace that you can be comfortable. Your blood pressure can, you know, go down. You can just relax. You can sit there and have happy feelings and have those endorphins, you know? And I just like to appreciate everything that comes with making. And so, like, it really does mean so much to me, more than just a business, more than just, you know, selling things to people and having people buy stuff from me, or more than followers, or more than, I appreciate y'all though. I appreciate everyone here. I do. I appreciate the relationships, but I just mean, like, it means more to me than those things. And, let me know in the comments, are you a progress knitter? Are you a progress knitter that likes to slow down the process and, you know, enjoy your stitches as you're making them? Or are you a project knitter, meaning that you are here to hurry up and make the thing so you can wear it, and then make the next thing so you can wear it, or make the next thing, you know what I mean? Some people just really like that end result of slow fashion, which is nice because either way, it takes forever. But let me know in the comments if you're either or, you know, let me know what you are, project knitter or process knitter. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to showing y'all a little bit more of what I have to do today. We're pretty much wrapping it up. I try to post like not too late on the day of. So I'm gonna get back to showing you like what I have going on behind the scenes a little bit, and then see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Okay, so let's dye some yarn. So I have my bare yarn. I'm just adding some plain tap water, and I like to add it with a lot of pressure. That way it kind of soaks up the water faster. Just a little hot tip. Sometimes I even like put the pan in my bathroom and have it run under the faucet, because you know it's a lot of pressure on high. And so I'm just kind of like making sure it soaks up real good. And then I'm going to transfer it over to the stove. I just kind of like let it sit there. It's not on or anything. It's just like sitting there while I mix up the dye. So I'm actually just using an extract today. This is a simple Kutch extract, which is actually one of my secret ingredients, but I don't know, I feel like sharing. So Kutch is actually an Indian tree, and what they do is they take the bark from the tree and they kind of like almost make a syrup out of it, dry it out, and then they make a powder. It's actually a really cool process, and if you want to look it up, you can do that. I'm just adding in some hot water here because it is quite sticky, and if you use normal room temperature water, it doesn't really mix as well. So either boiling water or just really hot water. So I'm just gonna mix that up until all the little chunks are gone. And as you can see, it makes a really deep brownish, kind of tan, I don't know what color that is. Just make sure you get the chunks out. All right, so now that my yarn has soaked and I mixed my extract really well, I'm just gonna pour that over the top. You can even see there's still a little bit of like stickiness in there. It's really sticky. It's hard to explain how sticky it is. So I just pour that in there, and then I'm going to just kind of use my hands. I'm all about like hands on, and like I said, this is just lukewarm now since it's all mixed together, and so you can actually touch it. I haven't even added heat to it yet. So once I just kind of feel like the dye is kind of dispersed through the pan, then I'll go ahead and turn on the heat. And you can actually do this, like mix it into the water before you even add your yarn. I just like to do it this way. It's just kind of like my tried and true method. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now that this has cooled off, I'm actually just going to pour that dye right down the drain, which that's kind of the best part about being able to natural dye is you can either add the water to your plants outside or just put it down the drain with like little to no pollution. So I'm going to rinse this out, and you can tell how much the yarn has soaked it up. This is actually superwash yarn, so it really like soaked up all that color. Like even though there's dye coming out, it's really not that much. It's really such a different process than dyeing with acid dyes. Both are beautiful processes, but natural dyeing is just where my heart's at. So here's what it looks like after. Wow, it's really pretty. It's kind of like everything I've dreamed of. This is one of my favorite colors, and it's kind of funny because I feel like it's my favorite, but not everyone's favorite. So I don't know. Let me know. What do you think? All right, that's what we have. Thanks for watching, y'all. See you tomorrow.